So I was this little boy that used to go to school with my kids, little Romeo. And I just watched him. He was polite and nice, always just there, take out the trash, give me the hug. I remember watching him at prom, and I said, you are so cute. You know what? When you get 25, if I'm still alive, you come see me.
Anytime I take off my glasses, the whole chat start going crazy.
Let me see.
Ooh. So I'm seeing people are calling out Ekane because she was allegedly harassing Rula, grabbing him inappropriately and making him visibly uncomfortable while they were on live stream together. And obviously, if she was actually harassing him, that should be called out. She should be held accountable for that. I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between when I say this. We don't have to imagine. It does happen to women quite frequently.
Ekane's behavior in this stream and y'all's response to it is the prime example of when men say that women can SA men without the same consequences as men get when they SA women.
Some house cleaning before we get started. For those who've been rocking with me from day one, I appreciate the support. For those who may be new here, coming in or out the door, for me, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, get it cracking in the comments. Every video engagement absolutely helps promote your boy into the YouTube algorithm. I thank y'all for all the support. Now let's get to it. Drop the video. Let's go.
You hate when you tell somebody something and they remind you of what you said, and you be a woman of your word and you got to keep your word. So I was this little boy that used to go to school with my kids, little Romeo. And I just watched him. He was polite and nice, always just there, take out the trash, give me the hug. I remember watching him at prom, and I said, you are so cute. You know what? When you get 25, if I'm still alive, you come see me. Why that boy knock on my door the other day? And he was like, Miss A. Marie, you remember me? I said, yeah. He said, I'll be 25 tomorrow my birthday. You remember what you said? I said, you remember that? He said, yes, I remember it. I thought about it every day. I said, is that right? I said, you know what? I am a woman of my word. I can't say something and not hold up to it. But bring your birth certificate and stop by tomorrow on your birthday. And I got some birthday cake for you, okay? I'm a woman of my word.
Look, I think this woman was some type of comedian, right? Or she does some type of entertainment. You know, chesticles are out clearly. I'm going to say this, right? In this whole series of content I put together here, it's all related. If a man had told a story this from this point of view, whether it was for comic relief or not, I think a lot of people would have a problem with it, right? Because of the note of, well, you always found this person attractive even when they were underage and a child. So you're out of line if it's off color and it comes across predatory. This is what they would say. They would absolutely say this guy was a predator and that he was waiting in the wing for her to grow up and become of age for him to strike. I see the same thing here. This is no different than a man telling the story, how you would view it as creepy, predatory, off color, and out of line. I don't care if she did this for comic relief or not. A man couldn't get away with this. And yes, this is a what if scenario. And we're going to do a lot of what if scenarios with this content today, because I think a lot of times people have these disingenuous takes when it comes to the issue of SA and pedophiles and things like this. I think a lot of people have a disingenuous double standard when it comes to the seriousness when we look at it when it comes from the gender of female. We tend to laugh it off, say, oh, he probably wanted that, and he was lucky and she blessed him, and all these nonsensical things people say. But this is kind of disturbing. This story isn't funny. This story isn't cute. This story is actually kind of disturbing. And I know it probably isn't true, but for her to concoct it in her head and then post it and show it to the world, yeah, this is creepy. And you're creepy.
Anytime I take off my glasses, the whole chat start going crazy.
Let me see.
Hey man, don't be
Yep, here we go with the what if. And you know what I'm going to say? If this was shoe on the other foot and a guy did this to a female co host on the show, he would be canceled. He would be immediately removed from the show. You would hear everyone on award shows and social media and talking about this time's up and this stuff has to stop and women aren't safe and this goes on far too often in our society and it goes unchecked. What do you got to say about this? I mean, she didn't even stop and think, was this appropriate? That's how comfortable some women are in their attempts to be sexual. They feel like nothing isn't above board when it comes to men. And I know some women will be like, "Oh, he wanted that. Look at his face. He was into it and blah blah blah." This guy clearly was uncomfortable. And whether he was uncomfortable or not is just inappropriate. And this is a what if shoe on the other foot scenario. And you ladies can obfuscate as much as you like and say, "Oh, it's not that bad. He probably wanted it. They were just playing." Shoe on the other foot, would you still have that same sentiment? I guarantee you wouldn't. And we're going to see. Let's go to the next one.
So I'm seeing people are calling out Ekane because she was allegedly sexually harassing Rula, grabbing him inappropriately and making him visibly uncomfortable while they were on live stream together. And obviously, if she was sexually harassing him, that should be called out. She should be held accountable for that. My issue with these videos of calling her out and holding her accountable is that with every video that I have seen, whether it's in the video or in the comment section, people are saying, imagine if it was the other way around. Imagine if this happened to a woman. Imagine this, imagine that. I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between when I say this. We don't have to imagine. It does happen to women quite frequently. And this is where I feel like we have to take impact over intent into consideration, because I understand the intent behind saying that, right? I understand that the message people are trying to convey is that when it happens to a woman, it's taken more seriously, which it's not, but I digress. Therefore, when it happens to a man, it should also be taken seriously. That is the intent. However, the impact that I have seen it have is that it doesn't make people care about one issue more. It makes people care about the other issue less. Multiple things can, and in complex situations like this, often are true at once. It is wrong for a woman to sexually harass a man, and it is also wrong for a man to sexually harass a woman. At the end of the day, playing the imagine if game isn't helpful because it doesn't have the impact that you intended. Now, we could play the imagine if game in other situations, right? My favorite imagine if game is imagine if J-Lo had never picked up a mic. How peaceful would the world be? I feel like in situations like this, the imagine if game isn't helpful. Like, the negative behavior can be called out, and it would be more impactful for it to be called out without that. Hope this helps. Peace and love. Talk to you later.
The imagine if game wouldn't have to be played out if people like you didn't produce content like this, right? You are the very reason the imagine if scenario actually exists. Because for some reason, also, the header of her post said two things can be true at once, which they can. It's wrong for anyone of any gender to be essayed or touched inappropriately. But the fact of the matter is that you have to add caveats to it as if the nuances are not clearly understood. You're just waxing philosophically here, and you're a pseudo-intellectual Negro that's trying to sound more intelligent than you actually are. Impact over intent is bullshit, and it doesn't matter. Who cares about the impact of whether or not people will acknowledge that it's as serious on both ends, which is the impact, which the intent of saying the imagine if is to get the impact of equalizing both of the scenarios so people can see that they're equal. That's the intent. Now, whether or not the impact lands on deaf ears or not is solely based up to individuals in our society. So just because some individuals will not give it credence or say it's less traumatic or it's less of an issue, it's up to the individual's bad moral compass. And you cannot blame people for having the intent to make an impact, to highlight that it is dangerous on both ends. It is troublesome on both ends. It is uncomfortable on both ends, regardless of the gender. See, you're what's called a person that's arguing in bad faith. You know very well the intent and hopefully the impact to make sure that this shit is equalized. But you don't like that because you don't like the fact that it takes away some of the perpetual victimhood that a lot of women like to perpetuate on social media by you saying like it doesn't, a lot of times it happens to women quite frequently and it goes unpunished. Where? When? When men SA women or touch women inappropriately, they're criminalized and a lot of times they're severely punished. Not to mention the fact they lose their sources of income and they're ostracized, I should say, ostracized by their family members. So how is it gone unchecked when it happens to women? Where in this society does it go unchecked? Now, are there some instances where it does? Sure. But there are far more instances where when it happens to men, it is not even reported, let alone someone held accountable for the actions.
Ekane's behavior in this stream and y'all's response to it is the prime example of when men say that women can SA men without the same consequences as men get when they SA women. Because if you as a grown woman was somewhere and was giving a man a hug to leave and he grabbed your cooch, would that be funny? What made it even worse was the scripture he had to recite afterwards because he felt that spirit, you feel me? The comments is laughing and making jokes saying, oh, Ekane don't need no more liquor. I'm just like Ekane when I get off of the lick. Whole time she just SA'd him, but because she one of y'all favorite creators, we can't make this connection. Because if that was a young woman in the situation getting touched like that when she was just going in for a hug, the internet would be in a frenzy. A lawsuit would be getting ready to be written up and some motion. All I'm saying is if Ekane was a man doing that to somebody else, we would have a way different conversation than we're having now.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And she's right. The imagine if and the what if absolutely exists because of the prior video I showed you of that type of pathology. Yes, SA is serious and it happens to women way more often than it happens to men. But we actually can't really say that. We can and we can't. Technically, we absolutely can say it because of the numbers and it, from the numbers and the stats. But so many times this happens to very young men, and I can't even call them young men, happens to young boys in their childhood, and it goes unreported. No one is held accountable for it. We hear the stories. We've heard countless men say how older cousins or older women, when they were like 12 and 13, 18-year-old, 19-year-old family member or female in the neighborhood, introduced them to, relations, right? And I'm trying to keep this above board for YouTube. And no one bats an eye at it. They say, well, you were lucky, man. I wish that was me. And even women don't take it serious, right? So the what if only exists because we have to keep saying it to you, beat the drum so y'all can understand that this shit absolutely happens and it's not taken nowhere near serious as when it happens to a woman. And y'all know this. So the previous post, the girl from the previous post was just being disingenuous. And she was just trying to come off and wax philosophically and try to make herself sound intelligent. Ma'am, nobody cares about the intent of people actually saying about the what if or the imagine if scenario. Who the fuck cares about that nonsense? It has to be said because you have the pathology of disregarding it when it happens to men and boys. That's why the what if and the imagine if scenario has to keep being brought up in these discussions and discords because you want to slide it under the table and only focus on women being victims of it, which they are. Any woman that this happens to is absolutely a victim, but they're not the only victims of this act, and you know it. That's all I got, man. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Get it cracking in the comments. See y'all in the credits. 2 fingers. Peace. I'm out of here. See y'all in the next one. Like Jesus.
You think that what we're fighting about is stupid. Just cause you don't agree don't mean it's stupid. Lately communication feels so useless. If we don't got that obsessive love, then what we doing? got the time to lose. Made me feel like I'm a burden when I tell you how I'm hurting. No, you just say you're sorry to say you did. I ain't over it. So let me take my time and talk my shit till I'm over it. Ooh, if you don't want the hate, you should act right. I'll be talking about you in the past time when you say you're sorry.